So that's where Jamie, and the reports are excellent. The board all has copies. The reports are extremely well done. And we have all the bills that you presented as well with the chief's approval. So I thank you, and we'll take I went through the audit line by line. It was, it's good to get a very, very clean audit. We got a very clean audit. The audit's available for anybody who wants it in town. So if you want a copy of the audit, just email the fire department, and we'll send you a copy of the audited financials. So, and our website is eastchesterfd.com. And Jamie, thank you. If you have any other questions for Jamie?
Yeah, one question I have for you. The monthly budget we get prior to the meeting basically has, actual versus budget from January 1 till April 20th. So it's basically a year-to-date. Is there any way to change this report so we can get, actual single month versus actual budget month, and then year-to-date versus budget year-to-date? And then finally, total budget for the year and what remains, just so that, because we have timing issues with cash flows when they come in, and I just think it would give
Yes, it might give it more, right, because depending on the day you run it, I mean, even running at 10:30 this morning versus 5 o'clock this afternoon, it will look different. Yeah. So, yes, we can provide, going forward, I can provide those 3 snapshots.
Okay, great.
So we also have the ability to view now. So you could go in and just view the budget.
Right.
QuickBooks.
Okay.
If you want at any time. I actually even look up any specific vendor you want,
Okay.
if you wanted to.
Maybe more information than you want.
But I will include
your
it in
spare
the
time.
package going forward.
Cusp
In your spare
of
time.
old dog and new tricks.
And then once she creates the report, I think we can always view that report, right? Yeah.
Yeah, or email it out regularly. Like, we can also
We
have
can
it
actually
emailed,
email it out automatically.
email it out automatically. Because we're on now QuickBooks, which was very painful for Jamie and Mary Lou Falcone to learn initially this, but I'm sure they're getting there at this point, the new QuickBooks application. So, thank you, Jamie. Okay, so we're going to have next on the agenda, so I think we should move to the 2 resolutions that we should need to deal with regarding the budget transfer and the procurement policy. We need to update our procurement policy. That procurement policy was passed around last month and circulated. So I'm going to read a resolution. I'd like somebody to make a motion in a second. The adoption of a revised procurement policy and procedures for the Eastchester Fire District. Whereas Section 104B of General Municipal Law requires that the governing body of every municipality to adopt an internal policy and procedures governing all procurements of goods and services which are not required by law to be competitive bid. Whereas comments have been solicited from all officers and employees in the district involved in the procurement process. Now, thereafter, be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners in regular session, in a regularly duly convened session, that the fire district does hereby adopt a procurement policy attached hereto, which is intended to apply to all goods and services purchased by the fire district. Be it further resolved that the adopting this resolution/procurement, the board repeals the resolution entitled Resolution for Adoption of the Internal Policies governing all procurements and goods and services which are not required to be made pursuant to competitive bid, Section 103 General Municipal Law, which was adopted on or about March 12th, 1992. So we're revising the 1992 procurement policy. Resolved, it is intended that the board, by this resolution, shall not supersede the comprehensive policy for financial controls, which was adopted on or about October 11th, 2012, but rather the 2 policies shall be read and used in conjunction, and that any conflicting items, when read together, shall be the procurement policy that governs. So can I get further resolve that this resolution shall take effect immediately? So can I get a motion to adopt that?
I'll make the motion.
Peter, and a second?
Aye.
Mr. Laurie, and I'll call the board. Mr. Laurie?
Aye.
Mr. Inkledon?
Aye.
Mr. Napolitano?
Aye.
And I'll say aye, motion carries. And what time do you have, Jerry?
8:31.
8:31. Okay, so that was one of the steps the auditors recommend we do. And attached is 5 or 6, I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's about 7 pages. Basically, the real differences between this and the old procurement policy, the state has upped the threshold for competitive bidding to reflect our more where we are today. But now, we have another issue that that we need to do relative to the audit, which was a recommendation, is to move money into the reserve fund. We have fire trucks we need to purchase, and we have houses we need to fix. So right now, we have so much capital we can move over, and then after the town sends its tax money in, they do the whole year, or roughly 90% of the year or something like that, on May 15th. So when they send the money in, we'll be back flush with cash. But right now, we have enough cash to get us through to honor about May 15. And so we're comfortable moving $1.5 million to the reserve fund. The reserve fund balance today for house and apparatus is $455,408.36. So this would bring the reserve fund close to $2 million. And so as soon as the money goes in, it can't come out unless it's used for house and apparatus. So I'll read this motion. And Mr. Baker's not here tonight. I usually make him do this, reading the motions. But a resolution authorizing the fire district deposit funds into the reserve account created by the resolution dated October 14th, 1971. That's when the reserve account was initially set up. Authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund, improvements for the town fire district of the town of Eastchester in the amount of $1.5 million. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the town of Eastchester, Westchester County, New York, duly convened at a regular session, hereby resolves the following. Whereas the resolution dated October 14th, 1971, authorizing the establishment of a capital reserve fund for the capital improvements for the town fire district of the town of Eastchester, New York, was properly created by resolution dated October 1st, 1971. Whereas currently the reserve fund has an available balance of approximately $455,408.36. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners has utilized an investment account at J.P. Morgan Chase in the name of the fire district, all within accordance with the investment policy. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners determined that it's in the best interest of the fire district, its residents, to deposit $1.5 million from the investment account into the reserve fund for planned future projects. Whereas such $1.5 million, in accordance with municipal law, is not required to be paid into any other future fund or account. Now, therefore, the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Fire District of the town of Eastchester, they say that a lot, duly convened at a regular session, does the following. Resolved that it hereby authorizes $1.5 million in monies to be now deposited in the aforementioned investment account to be transferred into the aforementioned reserve account. The resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately and that the funds can be utilized after a permissive referendum period has expired and no legal correct referendum has been filed, or where it is legally correct referendum filed, when and after such a mandatory referendum period. That means when we take the money out, we have to file a permissive referendum, which simply means we have to run a legal notice that we're going to take the money out. So do I have a motion to that effect, to move $1.5 million, or any discussion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Peter and Mr. Jerry Napolitano. Okay, so Commissioner Laurie,
Aye.
Commissioner Lincoln,
Aye.
Commissioner Napolitano,
Aye.
and I'll say aye. So that motion carries, so the two housekeeping issues brought up by the accountants have been taken care of. We have one other motion to consider tonight, and that is our FOIL policy, Freedom of Information Act policy. We have a policy that was adopted in October March of 2012. We're updating that policy by simply naming Mary Lou Falcone as the FOIL officer and Chief Michael Grogan as the appeals officer. So the policy is pretty much status quo, simply because it comes from a state website from the Committee on Open Government, and we just basically use their boilerplate policy, because that's their standard policy for Freedom of Information Act. The only variance is that our hours are not 9 to 5. They're mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do accept email and faxes, so, and the email address is right up on the website. So I would look for a motion to update our FOIL policy as distributed to include Mary Lou Falcone as the FOIL officer and Michael P. Grogan as the appeals officer.
So moved.
That's Mr. Laurie, and a second on that. Any discussion, anyone to second it?
Second.
Peter, and I'll poll the board. Mr. Laurie?
Aye.
Mr. Ingledon?
Aye.
Mr. Napolitano?
Aye.
And I'll say aye. That's just pure housekeeping.
One question just related to that. Do we keep track of how many man-hours are spent on getting together the information and responding to FOILs?
No, we don't, but
I'd like to.
It's getting-
extremely time-consuming.
it is
I
time-consuming.
mean, I look at some of these FOIL requests, and some of them, it's clear that, the information has a purpose, and I look at others, and I'm like, I wonder whether or not somebody just wants people running around the office at headquarters to waste time. And so I would just be curious.
That's
to what
actually, I
the-
think that's a problem for many governments, because some people just do see that they want to exercise their right, and yeah, recent stuff might be online, but when somebody asks for something from the 50s or 60s, and we don't know exactly when, you're digging through.
I'm not really sure what we can do about it, or how we could, I don't think we can, but I would like to know what the number is and how many man-hours are being spent responding to them.
I don't think it's to me, it's not overly onerous. Since Commissioner Napolitano joined the board, and he's introduced us to Google Drive and Google Files and Google Sharing, we have pretty much our minutes are all at our fingertips now, our budget's at our fingertips now. A lot of public information is pretty close to our fingertips. We run into problems when people ask us for things that are not so readily available, which happens from time to time, or to do research stuff. But a lot of times we'll get requests for oil tanks in the ground. That stuff in the Office of Fire Prevention is pretty well organized now. But you're right, but it's the people's business, and they have a right to ask as many questions as they want. So I'm always a proponent that people should FOIL more. I would like to see the public learn more about it.
We have the right to charge them back.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how you quantify the
You
monetary
can
amount
charge
to do
them for
that.
the copying, but can you charge them for the?
No.
For the man-hours?
Yeah, you can. There's little laws on the man-hours.
I don't think so.
Well, if there is, all the more reason why we should start tracking what those man-hours are.
Yeah, I think,
It just came through with video evidence that NYPD was going to charge, so you can do it by hours.
I personally think people should FOIL more, their local government, just to learn more about it. That's my own personal view. And they're not going to get engaged unless they learn. Now, if
But if you have 25, 30 people coming in a month, the front office staff is gonna neglect their work to get that?
it's,
We had 6 this year so
to
far.
me, it's the cost of
Yeah,
doing business.
so far, thank God, that's all you had so far.
Yeah. And we have them well organized. The FOIL comes in,
FOILs this year?
yeah.
And actually, the ones like you mentioned,
I'm shocked by
see,
that.
I don't even see,
Well,
like,
that's
people
what-
ask for
That's what
information.
the record shows.
Yeah, people look
The
for
record has
information
gotta
on
be
an
wrong.
oil tank.
I went through the email since the last meeting. I think I saw 4 or 5 since the last meeting, so.
Part of the problem is they don't all come through FOIL at. We get written
Yeah, but we got to
requests.
put them in. I mean, that's the point of creating the FOIL.
Right,
ledger,
if I get
so-
something separate, then I'll respond back, including
So according to the
FOIL.
FOIL ledger, we have
Well, regardless,
Yeah,
if it's not too much trouble, you're doing the work
Depends.
anyway, just jot down on a notebook, this is how much time I spent to Mary Lou, just so we have a sense.
There's many that are a quick thing, you know, an incident report, it's just a matter of clicking as long as you have the date and time. And they're quick, they're easy,
All
they're
right, so I'm going to
very
add
simple.
estimated time used to fill FOIA. I just did it.
Yeah.
And there's a field.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
but I mean, I think as we get more and more electronic, it gets less and less of a problem. And as time goes by. Like, you can get all the budgets for the last 5 years on a click. Actually, they're on the website, if anyone wants to click on them. The budgets are on the website. Okay, committee reports. Do we have any career firefighters? Jerry, anything?
No, nothing new there.
Volunteers, Mr. Laurie?
The only thing I have is that we have a department memorial service May 22nd at the Assumption Church at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then we have a ceremonial at the monument around 10 o'clock. And we have the veterans coming, doing a firing squad, taps, and a bagpiper coming, and then we're attending breakfast, and all is invited on the board here. And on May 30th, Monday, is the Memorial Day Parade. It starts at 10 o'clock at the monument up on Post Road. And Mr. Calavita is going to do a speech at that point, and then the parade will start. Assembly time is 9:15 at the monument, and the parade starts precisely or hopefully 10 o'clock and moves south on 22. And it's going right to the village of Tuckahoe. There'll be no stops at the World War I monument, and it's this final ceremony is at the monument of World War II at the Generoso Pope Plaza, and Mayor Eklund will be giving the closing ceremony with the benediction by Father Sorgi. And on the 22nd, we'll be introducing our new chaplain, Father Waddell, and the chief has purchased the badge and his hat. We'll be giving him at the Mass at May 22nd. After the Mass, we'll be issuing him his hat and welcoming him as the chaplain. And that's all I got.
Okay, and so there's no confusion. That is the Eastchester Memorial Day Parade. Then Bronxville will run its own Memorial Day Parade.
Correct.
Because so if somebody's watching this, they might think it's Bronxville, but
Yeah,
it's the,
no,
that's
this is
the Eastchester one in Bronxville. will
Eastchester,
have-
Tuckahoe. I'll leave you this copy if you want it.
No, it's okay. I got it.
You got that?
Yeah, I got it. We can scan it, send it out to the
Yeah,
board.
you could pass it if Jerry wants to see it, you know.
So, well, thank you, Commissioner. We got House and Apparatus. I guess we're going to try to move ahead on the FSI contract, and that's,
Yeah, we continue to negotiate terms on that contract. It's taken far longer than I had hoped it would. But I do think we're, on the 5-yard line, and hopefully we'll be able to get it done within the next week. I'm getting a little concerned about timing for getting work completed this year, because by the time we put it out to bid, again, we'd have to wait probably 6 weeks for bidders to prepare the bid packages. It wouldn't take us long, I think, to decide to choose a winning bidder. But then you've got scheduling issues, and a lot of that work is weather sensitive, particularly the masonry work, where you just can't have cold temperatures to do it. So we're still hopeful that we can get this thing signed, like I said, in a week, and maybe get the work done this year. But there is a possibility it's something that ends up getting pushed to 2017.
okay. Next is House and Apparatus. We have Budget and Finance. I don't think we have anything of new, other than
Yeah.
nothing of new. And Health and Wellness, Jerry?
Nothing new. Actually, just today, we tried to test out something for Fireground Communications. adding an accessory to 2102, but we realized that we need to update that radio, which is actually going to happen with the new 2102 vehicle. So the captain will be able to continually listen to dispatch radio, even though they're using their portables on fireground communications. So that will happen as soon as we get the new radio into the new 2102 vehicle. But we have the equipment to do it now.
Okay, that's good.
Commissioner Winter, just one other thing I wanted to mention. Two things. Chief, now that the weather's getting a little better, is it possible that I put in the captain's office all the POW flags? Could we?
I reminded Vinnie the other day.
Okay, good, thank you. And one other thing I wanted to mention, I know a lot of times that this happens, but when we use the spare ladder, could we possibly put a pan underneath it? Because the apron on the Station 2, it's not even a year old, there's all oil spots all over the place. I mean, I know it's not anybody's fault. I know the rig is up there in age, but
All the rigs drip some fluids. Usually we'll put some Absorbable down. We used to maintain pans underneath the
Yeah.
rigs, but they were more trouble, tripping hazard, and,
it
it
almost
just disappeared. That was an unusual
Yeah,
situation.
no,
Ladder
I
15
know, because the rig don't fit in there, but I think it's almost where we need a power washer on that, because that apron's not
Well,
even
there's
a year
solutions.
old.
See, that's
Yeah.
one of the good things is it's concrete, not blacktop.
Yeah.
So there are solutions that you can use to remove oil
Yeah.
on concrete that you couldn't use on blacktop.
No, I know, but yeah, like I said, just to let you know that the water cap has been put on, I saw it today, and it's just that,
I guess somebody found it then.
yeah, it's just that I got a little aggravated, because I know that the apron's not even a year old, and it's all messed up with oil drippings on it.
Basically, a garage. I mean, it's driveway. It's a ramp for fire trucks.
No, I know.
They're not going to stay new forever.
No, I know it's not gonna stay in, but I mean, it ain't even a year old, and it got oil drippings all over that apron, so.
Okay. Next, we have, okay, so that completes those reports. We covered much of tonight's business already, except I do have a note here about fire commissioner's election. I know it's early to be discussing this. I had a chat with Senator Latimer today. We had coffee with Senator Latimer, Tom Andres, Mary Smith, and I, and he's going to try to do what he can to get that bill that we tried a few years ago passed. He's been extremely helpful for the department. George Latimer has been extremely helpful trying to get this New York State Senate to move it forward. He hasn't had much luck with his colleagues. He's asked us to do some reaching out. One of the couple things that came to mind, and I just want to bring it up now, as we look to know, we're not going to change our election this year because it's too late for the state Senate to change to sign a new law in. And the New York and the Westchester County Board of Elections has been obstinate not to help us. So, and they've outlawed the green machines. The old levered machines are outlawed, so we can't use those for a fire district election. I think the most practical thing for us to use, rather than to use the computers just with two people, you're going to have, let's say it's 2 or 3 or 5 names, however number of names are on the ballot, we may be better off just doing like what the Village of Bronxville did this year for its Bronxville Village election and using a drop box. Just a simple, you have a pre-printed card, you check the card and drop it in the box, rather than go out and renting all the computers and having the computers set up, and when you
Then we're
can,
going to need a lot more people to
That's right.
check.
It's gonna
We
be
have a lot
more
polling
costly.
locations.
well, then it'll be a discussion of how many polling locations you have. So I'm just trying to bring up that there's
Well, I
discussions.
mean, we already have problems with people complaining that the polling locations are too far away, so.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there are going to be issues coming up between now and the fall that we have to resolve. And some of it's going to be, we would like maybe to do a public outreach, and we'll circulate the names of the senators that we need help lobbying to move this law forward. But the election that we've had with the green machines, New York State every year had an extension allowing us to use those. Those extensions have not been renewed. And school districts and fire districts, I don't think can use the green machines, and I think they're going to go to the electronic ones. And the issue with the electronic ones is how how much training do we have to give these are not the same people that work the electronic machines in the past. They're usually unique to our election, the poll workers. So I'm just offering it out. I don't have answers or solutions. I'm just saying this is something that's on the.
So is
we
this
have to
going to be the
think about
case
it.
for all fire
How
elections
does
in
the
the
Dropbox
state?
work? Are there still poll workers who are going to verify?
Oh, yeah,
the
no, you go in,
purses?
you go in, you
Show
did
your
in the-
license, you get,
No license. You go in and you, like in the village of Bronxville in March, when they had the March election, you went in and they looked at your name in the book, you signed the book like normal, they gave you a ballot, and you went over to a booth where there was a marker, and you marked the ballot, you fold it in half, you drop it in the box. That's simple. And at the end of the election, they count the ballots. In Bronxville's case, it was probably 100 ballots on a March election.
At one
Yeah, but
location.
That's, what I was just gonna say, that's one location, don't forget. You got all the community center, the town hall, the American Legion, you got the firehouse in
I mean,
Chester
to
Heights.
begin with, our election workers are really volunteers more than anything else, but for the little amount of money that we give them.
You only give them $55. How much?
And we can only give them that because of the law,
And,
so.
and don't forget, the second shift will catch longer hours because they have to count the votes.
No, I think you would have the boxes sealed and you would take them to a polling place, a counting center to have them counted.
So then you gotta pay those counters.
Well, you'd have to bring in somebody who was a independent third party to count them.
And you
You
gotta
know,
pay those too.
Yeah, well, of course, you're gonna get there's gonna be a cost involved.
Whereas if you got the machines, like the new machines that we have, once you close the machine, then it give you the tally. John Jones got 50,
Right, and
Mike
those-
Smith got 10.
Those machines cost us $7,000.
I know that.
I don't think it will cost us $7,000 to have somebody count up 1,000 cards. Just my guess.
I don't know, I don't like that too much.
So,
I'd like to understand it better, I guess.
so I'm just offering it out there as saying, this is something to think about. I'm not, because I had the discussion with the senator today trying to, and he's trying to move that bill forward. He's doing the best he can, and he's very
You're
proactive.
moving back 80 years when you're counting by hand.
Well,
It's about 30 years.
Well, 30, so whatever.
30.
But you're going back, we're getting rid of the old machines and doing something more on computers, and now we're gonna go back to opening a shoebox and start
We only-
counting votes.
typically, you only have 2 or 3 people on the ballot. So,
I understand, but now you gotta bring all those, someone's gotta go pick up all those boxes, bring them to one polling place and start counting.
yep,
So
unless there's another solution,
stay with what you got.
you can't. The law, we're not allowed. The law is not gonna let you use
No, I'm
green
not talking
machines.
about the green machines. Stay with what we have, with the voting machines that we have nowadays.
The blue ones, the
Yeah.
electronic ones.
Yeah, stay with them. We used them at the last election, didn't we?
No, we use green machines.
No, we didn't.
Yes.
We
Yeah,
didn't?
green machines.
We used the, okay, so.
We've
then
always
stick-
used green machines.
Stick with the electronic ones then.
Well, we'll hash it out. I'm just opening up the idea for people to think about. That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
And we're going to have to start a lobbying campaign, and we're going to send out some emails to start that lobbying campaign to the couple state senators. And that's hopefully the idea. Okay. Next, we have bills to pay. I've read through them. Do you gentlemen have all read through them, I think?
Yes.
Okay. So let me look at the resolution on the bills. So, we have 2 sets of vouchers this evening. We have the one from March 1st for $3,695.15, which is a Verizon bill that was already paid, but the board hadn't seen it, so it's in the vouchers. It was paid because it's contractual. And then we have another voucher on April 21st, 2016, for $214,113.91, for a grand total of the 2 sets of vouchers of $217,809, spot 06. So can I get a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Peter?
Second,
Second, Mr. Laurie. Okay, Jerry? Abstain. Jerry's abstaining okay. And Mr. Baker, Mr. Laurie?
aye.
Mr. Inkledon?
Aye.
And I'll say aye, motion carries, and Jerry abstained. Okay, now, would Local 916 like to present? Would anybody else like to address the board?
Public?
Public would like to address the board?
Where's the other one?
Evening, Commissioners. Anthony Fiore, Mid-Tuckahoe. This past election in March, I ran in Tuckahoe. We used to have 7 machines. Now we use just 2 electronics with 3 names on it with a long piece of paper. That's supposed to be green, you know? Just to give you that idea.
Yeah, I mean, you just fill out and you slide the card in. Yeah, I've used it.
No, the regular electronic machine we use. You know, you circle and
Yeah.
and you stick it in.
Right,
Yeah, the scanner.
right.
That was for 2. We used 2. We used to use 7. Now we use 2 electronics. But now you're going to need, what, 5? Put 1 in each location? Unless you have 1 location.
So in other words, we were
Yeah.
using the green lever machines,
Yeah, we used to do
Right.
7 of those.
Right.
and then he's basically saying that we could probably just use 1 at each location for our voting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, in our
Consolidate.
case, we'll still have the 5 locations. The village, I think, concentrated everything at the community center.
community
Didn't they
center,
use-
yep.
Yep.
Didn't they have another location?
No,
Yeah, just one
everything was
Did
at the
they
community
moved
center.
everything down there? I
All the
know,
all the
I know it was a
people
little
last
bit of a
week-
zoo
yeah.
down there.
Yes, you're right.
They combined-
He brings up a good point. We won't have to put the same number of machines to
No,
tally
but
the votes. We still have
Actually,
5.
I think you will, because usually they require a backup, and we have 5 locations. They only have 1
5 machines.
location.
Yeah, but I think you can move the machine from location as a backup.
Oh, that I don't know.
We did with the green machine. We didn't have a...
No,
No, we had 2 in each
No.
location. If one went down, they doubled one up.
right. They're not
Yeah, we
easy,
had
they
another
wouldn't,
one, too.
you wouldn't have moved
You had a
those that
spare.
easily.
We had a spare. That we-
Chester Heights was the only one that had 1 machine.
Yeah.
Plus all the paperwork you got to do on those long sheets of paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, just give you an idea on that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any board member comments? Any? Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
In the memory of Assistant Chief
Oh,
Ralph Stuppel Senior.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm sorry about that. And a second to close the meeting? I'll make them up, come in a
Yeah,
second.
my
Okay.
condolences. to
Okay,
stuff
and-
like that.
Okay, and we're going to be closing the meeting in honor of Ralph Stuppel, former Assistant Chief Ralph Stuppel Senior. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So should we close the meeting?